Hare Krishna to all dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All goes to Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Asmita Mataji, whenever you're ready, can you please start reading?
Sure. Can you hear me okay, Mataji?
Yes, Mataji.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna, all the devotees, to all the devotees, to all the Vaishnava. I'll start with reciting the prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskatyam Naram Chevam Narotayam Devi Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jyati Uddhaye Nistaprayato Bhagavate Nityam Bhagavata Sevayam Bhakti Udate Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Nistake. Today we're going to read from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 7, starting with text 29. 1 minute, Mataji. I have to see where I'm ending. To 42. Text 29. O great sage, kindly describe the division and order of human society in terms of symptoms, behavior, and the characteristic of mental equilibrium and sense control. Also, please describe the birth of the great sages and the categories, divisions of the Vedas. Text 30. Please also describe the explanation of different sacrifices and the path of mystic power, analytical studies of knowledge and devotional services, all with their respective regulations. Text 31. Please also describe the imperfection and the contradiction of the faithless atheists, the situation of crossbreeding and movement of living entities in various species of life according to the particular modes of nature and work. Text 32. You may also describe the non-conditional cause of religious, economical development, sense gratification, and salvation, and also the different meaning of livelihood and different process of law and order as mentioned in the revealed scriptures. Text 33. Please also explain the regulation of offering respects to the forefathers and creation of the Pitralokas, the time schedule in the planet, star, and the luminaries, and the representative situations. Text 34. Please also describe the future result of charity and penance and of digging reservoirs of water. Please describe the situation of person who are always from home and always the duty of a man in the awkward position. O sinless one, O sinless one, because the personality of Godhead, the controller of all living entities, is the father of all religion and all those who are candidate for religious activity. Kindly describe how he can be completely satisfied. Text 36. O best amongst the Brahmas, those who are spiritual master are very kind to the needy. They are always kind to their followers, disciples, and son, and without being asked by them, the spiritual master describes all that is knowledge. Text 37. Please describe how the dissolution there are for the elements of material nature, and who survives after the dissolution to serve the Lord while he sleeps. Text 38. What are the truth regarding the living entities and the Supreme Personality of Godhead? What are their identities? What are the specific values in the knowledge in the Vedas? And what are the necessities for spiritual master and the disciples? Text 39. Spotless devotees of Lord have mentioned the source of such knowledge. How could one have knowledge of devotional service and detachment without the help of such devotees. Text 40. My dear sage, I have put all these questions before you with a view of knowing the pastimes of Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You are the friend of all, so kindly describe them for all those who have lost their vision. Text 41. O spotless one, your answers to all these questions will grant immunity from all material miseries. Such clarity is greater than all Vedic charities, sacrifice, penance, etc. Text 42. Shukadeva Goswami said, thus the chief of sages, who are always enthusiastic about describing topics regarding personality of the Godhead, began to narrate the descriptive explanation to the Puranas, being so infused by Vidur. He was very much enlivened by speaking on the transcendental activities of the Lord. Hare Krishna. Thank you, dear devotees. Please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you so much, Asmita Mataji. Gopijana Mataji, whenever you're ready, you can start, Mataji.
Sure, Mataji. Thank you so much. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Mataji,
Mataji.
for reading translations. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Sunyavadi Pashyatade Shatarine. Hare Krishna devotees, please accept my humble obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada and Gurudev. Let me share my screen real quick. So today we are continuing to hear from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 3, Chapter 7, 29 onwards. Just to give a quick overview of what we discussed in the previous section, we know that how Vidura has met with Maitreya Muni in Haridwar, and he asked several questions to Maitreya Muni, and he specifically asked about the creation of this universe also. And in the previous section, we have seen how Maitreya Muni has described about the creation of the universal form, how different elements are formed, and from Mahavishnu, and the transformation from each element to element. And after hearing those explanations, Vidura has got some questions. So he would like to clarify about those. So he started with those questions in the beginning of this chapter about the position of Jiva and Ishvara. So he's asking that Ishvara, Supreme Lord, he's all spiritual, he's transcendental, he's unchangeable. How can that Lord perform activities in this material world? How can he engage with the material gunas in this world? That is his first question. And as a response to that, Maitreya Muni has explained that Supreme Lord, his material energy is one of Supreme Lord energy, and it is always under his control. Material energy it works under the direction of Supreme Lord. And he also explains that we have our acharyas have given the analogy of sun, how sun is all powerful and he's all light, but whereas the other energies of the sun, like the clouds formation, snowfall, and the darkness, those are just energies of the sun, and they cannot cover the sun. So energies can be covered, they can be dominated by energies, but they cannot cover the energetic person who is the source of all these energies. So our Acharyas has given this wonderful analogy. And second question that Vidura has asked is that Jiva is a pure soul. How come that he is entangled in this nescience? It is uncontaminated, and he's engaging in this material world with full of ignorance. And also, the living entities are undergoing so many miseries. That is his second question. So Maitreya Muni explains that actually there is no miseries for the soul. So whatever the miseries that living entities are undergoing, it is only due to misidentification with the body. So how can we overcome those miseries? The solution is also given by Maitreya Muni, that by performing devotional service. So by simply hearing and chanting, that is 14th sloka, very cures. So it is by simply hearing and chanting the glories of the Supreme Lord, Nama Rupa Guna Leela, then one can vanquish all these miseries. That is Maitreya Muni's solution to Vidra's question. And further, Vidra has appreciated Maitreya Muni answers, and he also shared his heartfelt realizations with Maitreya Muni. And he continues his further questions about the creation from 23 to 38 slokas. So he asked, so these are the questions, the set of questions that Vidra is asking, and answers to these we'll find them throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, and some are given in particular cantos and sections, and some are have been elaborated in throughout the Srimad Bhagavatam. So in 23, Vidra is asking that to explain him about the vibhutis of the Supreme Lord, and that is that he uses for sarga, that is for universal creation, and also the activities that Brahma does as part of the visarga, that is secondary creation. And also he would like to know about different planets and their situations and the measurements that we will see in Canto 5, majority of that descriptions. And also he's asking to describe about the different living beings and their generations and the subdivisions, and also Gunavataras and pastimes of the Lord. And from today's sloka 29 onwards, Vidra is asking, he's asking very pleasingly in a humble way to Maitreya Muni that, "Oh great sage, please describe me the divisions and orders of the human society," that is Varnashrama. So like we know that there are 4 statuses and orders of the human society. Prabhupada mentions here in purport again that four statuses are Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, and Sudra. And ashramas are Brahmachari, Grihastha, Vanaprastha, and Sannyasi. So, and all these divisions are based on their particular nature of their individual person, not the principle of birth. And even in the translation, Vidra did not mention about the birth, because they are very well aware that birth is not a factor when determining the Varna Ashtama, right? And we also hear from Krishna directly from Bhagavad Gita that Varnashtama is based on guna and karma, not by birth. So we see here that Vidra is he's very famous in the history as born of a Sudrani mother, because his mother is maid servant of Ambika. So, but he's much more qualified than a Brahmana, because he is a pure devotee of the Lord, and he's now he's a disciple of great sage Maitreya Muni. And next verse 30th, and he's also requesting Maitreya Muni to further describe the expansions of different sacrifices, that is different yajnas, and different yogas, that is path of mystic powers, analytical study of knowledge, that is Sankhya Yoga, and devotional service, that is Bhakti Yoga. So here, in essence, Vidra is asking that to explain him about different yoga, yajna, gnana, and devotional service, Bhakti Yoga. So, Srila Prabhupada mentioned here about Tantram. In a verse it is mentioned, Tantram va Bhagavat Smrutam. So it is significant here, because when sometimes we may misunderstood that Tantram is black spiritual science of materialistic person, but here the Tantram represents that it is devotional service. So that is compiled by Srila Narada Muni. Narada Muni writes, compiles Narada Pancharatri Vidhi, right? So he is referring to that one. And the Sankhya philosophy, it came from Kapil Dev. It is explained to Devahuti, his mother, right? So that is the real source of knowledge about the supreme truth. And knowledge other than any knowledge not based on Sankhya philosophy is just mental speculation. So that is about 30th. And next one, 31. He's further inquiring about what are the imperfections and the contradictions of the faithless atheist and the situation of crossbreeding and the movements of the living entities in various species of life. So here Prabhupada explains that what is crossbreeding? It is the combination of different living entities. Combination of living entities in different modes is called crossbreeding. And why faithless atheists, they have different contradictions? Because they don't believe in God. So they come up with their own theories and they don't align. So they always have, imperfections and the contradictions with that's why they never agree with each other. And in fact, they argue with each other about those. And somebody may ask that what is the proof there is a mixture of modes of material nature, right? So for that, it is very clear, and the evidence is that because there are different species of life, and they work differently according to their nature and work. So because they are entangled in mixture of different material modes. That's what Sri Prabhupada has ended this purport. And 32 is also placing a request to describe about the non-contradictory causes of 4 Purusharthas, that is Dharma, Artha, Kama, Moksha. And also he would like to know more about the rules of profession, that is livelihood, and the law and order, that is what are the rules for the punishment. So, and 33. Yeah. So he would like to know more about the regulations of the offering respects to forefathers, that is Pitrus, and how the Pitrulokas are created, and what is the time schedule in those planets, stars, and luminaries, and their respective situations. That is basically Canto 5. The answers, all the answers are given. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada writes that how the time duration of the day and night is different in the heavenly planets, and 6 months of our human time on this earthly planet is equal to 1 day of heavenly planet. That means that 1 year of our earthly time equals to 1 day and night of heavenly planets. And also Krishna has mentioned about 1 day of Brahmaloka, that is measured as 1,000 Divya Yugas, that is 1,000 times of 43 lakhs human years. So in such like that, the time duration is such a very, very long span of time in heavenly planets, and especially Brahmaloka. In this material universe. And also we know that this is Pitruvaksha is going on, and how it is important to offer oblations to forefathers. And we have a very wonderful class given by Prabhuji yesterday at Sunday Feast. That's, I remember about that one, the importance of offerings to Pitrus. That is 33 and 34. And Vidra is further asking about what is the result of charity and penances, and also digging water reservoirs of water. Please describe the situations of persons who are away from home, and also what is the duty of a man in any awkward position. That is very much relevant. So we know that in Srimad Bhagavatam it comes in 2nd chapter of Canto 1, that what is the duty of all the human beings. And these questions are asked by, the similar set of questions are asked by Parikshit Maharaj also in 8th chapter of Canto 2. And the similar questions now Vidra is asking to Maitreya Muni. And we know that what is the duty of every man is described Savai Pumsam Parodharmo, Ito Bhaktir Adokshaji, Ahaitiki Apratihada, Eyatma Suprasidati. So, what is the duty of every living entity is it is all worship Supreme Lord and perform devotional service unto Supreme Lord. How? It should be Ahaitiki Apratihada, that is unmotivated and uninterrupted devotional service. So, what you will gain out of it, you will be so satisfied in your heart. So here, what is the duty of any man in any position is Ito Bhaktir Adokshaje. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada has written that digging the water reservoirs is such a great charity work, and also he emphasized how the retiring from family life after 50 years, is a very great act of penance. And also, we know that even Sundarananda Prabhuji mentions about based on the family situation and the situation of the children, their marriages, people will plan accordingly. Prabhupada mentions that 50-55. And here, text 35, I'm sorry. So, Vidra further asks about the personality of Godhead, who is the controller of all living entities, and he is the father of all religions and all the living beings. And how can he be completely satisfied? He is always self-satisfied, but how can we satisfy the Supreme Lord? What are the acts that we can make Supreme Lord to be satisfied and pleased with us? That's a wonderful question by Vidra. So in the purport, Srila Prabhupada has mentioned that so all the religious activities are ultimately to satisfy the Supreme Lord, and he is the father of all religious principles. So who will approach the Supreme Lord? In 7.16, there are 4 types of pious men who are they are needy, they are distressed, they are enlightened and inquisitive. So those people approach the Supreme Lord, even though they approach for the devotional service, but that is mixed with some material motivation, like who are those distressed, who want some wealth, who want some inquisitive knowledge, and also out of curiosity. So they approach the Supreme Lord, which is they're very pious souls. But whereas the pure devotees, they worship the Supreme Lord with no material tinge of fruitive work or speculative knowledge. And also in 7.15, it is mentioned that for those people, those miscreants, throughout their life, they're compared to demons because they never accept Supreme Lord as Supreme Controller, and they don't believe in God. That's why they're bereft of knowledge, irrespective of their academic knowledge or career, their status and position in the society. They are compared to demons because they're never candidates for satisfying the Supreme Lord. And 36. So spiritual masters, the position of supreme spiritual masters is given here, and they're compassionate. They're very compassionate to the needy, and they're always kind to their followers, disciples, and sons. And here in the purport, it's very short and sweet purport. Spiritual master, there are many subjects to be known from the bona fide spiritual master. And whoever the followers of the spiritual master and his disciples and his sons, they're at the same level. They treat the spiritual master, treat all of them as at the same level. And he's always kind and speaks to them about the transcendental subjects. It doesn't matter whether they ask or they don't ask, but the spiritual masters are so compassionate, and they will raise the topics, and they will clarify, they will give more enlightenment to the disciples. And also here Vidra is appealing to Maitreya Muni that Vidra is asking several questions to Maitreya Muni, But also he's saying that whatever the questions that I may not have asked also, please clarify them. Because spiritual masters are very compassionate. So he doesn't want to miss any topics about the Supreme Lord. So whatever the questions that I ask, please describe them. Whatever the questions that I may not have asked them, please describe them as well, because you are so compassionate. 7. So he's placing another question about the different dissolutions, that is annihilations, and also who survive after the dissolution to serve the Lord while he is asleep. So here we know that there are 4 types of annihilations. It is described in Canto 11 and Chapter 3 further. In Canto 3 further upcoming chapters also. So there are basically 4 types of annihilations. One is Nitya Pralaya, that is the constant annihilation of the anything material. And the second one is Naimittika Pralaya, that is dissolution of all the planets within the universe into Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu at the end of the day of Brahma. So that is Naimittika Pralaya, and then Prakritika Pralaya, that is all the entire universe will be dissolved at the end of the life of Brahma. That is Prakritika Pralaya, and all the elements, everything will be merging back into Mahavishnu. So that is Prakritika Pralaya. And the fourth one is Antika Pralaya, that is the false ego of the living entity will be destroyed and they get liberated. Those are 4 types of pralayas. And in the purports, Srila Prabhupada has given the Brahma Samhita verses 47 and 48. The meaning of these verses is also quoted here. So I worship Supreme Lord Govinda, who is sleeping unlimitedly on the Kajal ocean. So he creates unlimited numbers of universes during that sleep. And also due to, he with his just one breathing, when he exhales, the innumerable number of universes will come out and they sustain for some time. And when Mahavishnu inhales back, they will all go within the body of Mahavishnu. So that plenary portion of the Supreme Lord is called Mahavishnu. I worship Supreme Lord Krishna, Govinda, the virginal Lord. So here that is the dissolution, how Mahavishnu creates the universes and how he again annihilates them with his inhale and exhale. So when compared to human calculations, Brahma's life is such a very, very significant and long duration. But when you see that Mahavishnu just inhale and exhale, all these universes are coming into existence and inhaling, and again merging back into Mahavishnu with just inhale and exhale. Brahma's life is such insignificant time when we see Mahavishnu breathing period. So another subsequent questions asked by Vidura is, so who will survive after the dissolution to serve the Lord in the same verse? So Prabhupada has mentioned here beautifully that even though the material manifestations are annihilated, but the associates of the Lord and his planets and his the kingdom beyond that Kajal oceans, they never disappear. They're always eternal. And the eternal associates of the Supreme Lord, those are inhabitants of spiritual planets, they serve the Supreme Lord. And here, Kashi Kanda, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and Jiva Goswami has given this verse, that the devotees of the Lord never annihilate their individual existence, even after the dissolution of the entire cosmic manifestation. Because the Lord and the devotees who associate with him, they're always eternal in both material as well as spiritual worlds. That is the reference from Kashi Kanda, how the eternal devotees of the Supreme Lord, they will never annihilate, even though all these annihilations of the material creation material universe is occurring. So they are intact. And 38th verse. And Vidura is further asking about the truths of living entities and Supreme Personality of Godhead, the Jiva Tattva and Ishvara, the truths about them, and what are their identities? This is a question. And what is the essential knowledge in the Vedas? And what is the necessity of the spiritual master and his disciple? 38th sloka, I'm just scrolling down. So here, Prabhupada again gives very beautiful and essential purport. So we know that what is the identity of the Supreme Lord? It is, the verse quoted here is 5.29, that is Bhuktaram Yajnatapasam. So he is the supreme enjoyer of all these sacrifices and penances. He is Bhuktaram Yajnatapasam. And he is the Lord of all the living entities and all the planets, demigods. He is Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. And he is the friend of all the living entities. He is the benefactor of all the living entities. He is Suhrudam Sarvabhutana. So that is his identity. And what is the identity of living entity? We can again see how Krishna says in 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Mamayvamso Jiva Loka Jiva Bhuta Sanatanaha. All living entities are my part and parcel. So that is the identity of the living entity. So when the living entity accepts that Supreme Lord, he's the proprietor, he's the controller, he's the enjoyer, he's the benefactor, he's his ultimate goal, then they will the living entity, they will resume their real identity. So the misconception with the bodily identification and the miseries, everything will go away just by understanding that Supreme Lord is Bhuktaram Yajnatapasam, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, Suhridam Sarvabhutanam. So when the living entity understands this truth, then they will resume their real identity. So how can they can go to that standard of knowledge? That is only through a spiritual master. So because bona fide spiritual master, they desire that the disciples should know how to engage in devotional service. How can they perform the transcendental loving service unto the Supreme Lord? And at the same time, when the disciple can, when they realize that only this knowledge can be attained by self-realized soul, then it's a very, very perfect combination between the spiritual master as well as disciple. And 39. So how can we attain that knowledge, the transcendental loving service to Supreme Lord? Here is the answer. Spotless devotees of the Lord have mentioned the source of such knowledge. So without that knowledge, Vidura is asking that with surprise, how can anybody can get that knowledge of devotional service and detachment without the help of such devotees? Without the help of pure devotees, we cannot get anything. We cannot really do anything or obtain anything. So those devotees have mentioned the source of such knowledge. And purport again beautiful, that some inexperienced person, they argue and they propagate also about the theory of spiritual master is not needed. They propagate that, and they but Srimad Bhagavatam, it does not accept that, that does not approve that viewpoint. Because if you see several sections, we see that how Vyasadeva has taken shelter at the Narada Muni. Narada Muni is the guru of Vyasadeva, and he has compiled this sublime transcendental literature, Srimad Bhagavatam, after hearing the instructions from Narada Muni. And it goes on like that, how Sukadeva Goswami is a spiritual master to Parikshit Maharaj, and Sutta Goswami, how he has taken Guru, his Guru is again Sukadeva Goswami. And Saunaka Rishis, they accepted spiritual master Sutta Goswami. So it goes like that. And and even when Supreme Lord comes to this material world, he accepts spiritual master. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu comes, he accepts Ishwar Puri as a spiritual master. And Lord Ram, when he comes, he accepted Vasishtha Muni as his spiritual master. And Krishna, he accepted Sandipani Muni. So Supreme Lord himself he's showing an example that you have to take initiation from the spiritual master. Without that, we cannot understand, we cannot perform devotional service unto Supreme Lord. So here, Bhagavad Gita also, Arjuna accepted Lord Krishna as spiritual master. So then only Krishna has spoken Bhagavad Gita to him to enlighten him with knowledge. So, but the only stipulation is that the spiritual master should be bona fide. What does it mean? Bona fide means he must be in the proper chain of disciplic succession called Parampara system. So that is very much essential. And the first part of this translation mentioned that spotless devotees of the Lord have mentioned the source of such knowledge. So here, so few devotees have prepared many books of knowledge on basis of authorized scriptures. So here, Srila Rupa Goswami and his assistants, under the instructions of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they have written various literatures to guide the prospective devotees. So by anybody who is very serious to become pure devotees, they must have to attain, they must have to read those books written by pure devotees. So those literatures are very much essential, and we must take advantages of those literatures. And 40th, so he's giving, so now, so far, Vidra has asked so many questions. He's asking about dissolutions, heavenly planets, different types of yogas, ignas, jnanas, varnashrama system, karma, and what are different types of punishment, different types of sacrifices. So all these questions, why he's asking, he's clarifying here, only to know the pastimes of Hari, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He's not interested in Ashtanga Yoga. He's not interested in Jnana Yoga. But his questions are only to relish the pastimes of Supreme Lord. So kindly describe them for all those who have lost their vision. So in the purport, Sri Prabhupada has mentioned that all Vidra put forward these questions only to understand the principles of transcendental loving service to the Lord. And pure devotees, they always follow this principle 2.41, where devotional service is their only goal. Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekeha kurunandana. So their knowledge is not many branched. Their focus and their knowledge is only one pointed in attention and intelligence, that is only devotional service unto Lord. So that is 48th. And what they do, they give us the spiritual vision. So we also pray this Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuruntamena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namaha. So spiritual master will give us the knowledge, and he will enlighten us with the torch of knowledge, who can disseminate all the darkness that we have, and they will give us the spiritual vision with all this transcendental knowledge. And 41 is asking that who spotless one. So he's addressing Maitreya Muni with such a nice words, oh great sage, oh spotless one, oh best of Brahmanas. So we can see his respect and humility towards Maitreya, and Maitreya qualifications also by being addressed with those by pure devotee Vidra. So he's saying that for all your answers to all these questions, it grants immunity from all the material miseries. So such charity of giving all these transcendental subjects, it is greater than all Vedic charities, all Vedic sacrifices and penances, etc. So what is the highest perfectional charity is to give the people immunity from the material miseries is the greatest charity that Maitreya is going to give to all of us. and to by the grace of Vidura. So here Prabhupada writes in the purport that so that transcendental knowledge is incomparable. So whatever the immunity that one may derive altogether from all the Vedic charities, sacrifices, and penances, that cannot be, even a part, or it cannot be compared. What is the charity that we, that few devotees give through their transcendental wisdom. So that is the greatest charity that Maitreya is giving to Vidura, and because it is universal nature, it will deliver all of us in all the times. That's why Maitreya is immortal. So Maitreya glory is we have been hearing in Canto 3, and also everybody who reads Srimad Bhagavatam, they did a lot of benefit from Maitreya Muni, because it is the greatest charity to all the living entities by the great sage. And 42, last verse for today. And Sukadeva Goswami saying that the conversation went to the main loop here, that he's describing about the mood and the symptom of the Maitreya Muni after hearing those questions from Vidura. The chief of the sages was always enthusiastic about describing the topics regarding the personality of Godhead. He began to narrate descriptive explanations of the Puranas, being infused by Vidura. Because Maitreya Muni is such a great devotee, and the speakers of Srimad Bhagavatam, they're in a mood that they're very enthusiastically, describe the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. Because here Vidura is very enthusiastic, and he's humble. He's faithfully asking, presenting these questions. Because what Maitreya Muni thinks that he's getting an opportunity to describe about the Supreme Lord glories, so that's why they enthusiastically describe the narrations of the Supreme Lord. So he was very much enlivened by speaking such topics, and he actually felt transcendental bliss for such questions, and that is the last sloka for today. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Ananta Koti Vaishnavrinda ki jai. Let's offer obeisances to all devotees. Vancha kalpatarubhaischa kripa sindhubhyacha padikkanam pavanekho. Thank you so much, devotees. We will meet again tomorrow at 7 o'clock. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Gopijana Mataji. Excellent class. Thank you for all the devotees for joining the class. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you.
Thank you for joining.
Hare Krishna.